Welcome to KMET 1490 AM ABC News Radio and the Southern California Business Report with Yvette Walker, a show dedicated to highlighting successful Southern California businesses and the people behind them.
Welcome and thank you for joining Southern California Business Report on ABC News and Talks, KMET 1490 AM, 98.1 FM, and KMET TV. I'm Yvette Walker, live blasting our signal from the center of Southern California, serving a population of over 25 million. Get us crystal clear and on demand by downloading the free live streaming app on Google Play and the Apple App Store. As always, a huge shout out to the team. Mitch, Bill, and Sean, I love you guys, and to our special advisory committee that can be found at www.scbrtalk.com/advisory committee. Click on the link and learn about the leaders doing the work. Okay, everybody, this has been a long anticipated interview with Miss Betty Porto, who was born in Cuba and migrated with her family to California in 1971. Her mother opened the first Porto's Bakery location shortly after arriving, and Betty and her siblings worked there after school every day throughout high school and college. She earned a bachelor's degree in 1980 from Cal State LA and received her master's degree in political science in 1982 from UCLA. Once she graduated, she focused on helping with the expansion of her family's business and settled into her role as Vice President and Director of Community Relations. Today, Betty has the pleasure of working alongside hundreds of local organizations such as the Los Angeles Union Rescue Mission, the Boys and Girls Club of Burbank, Giving Children Hope Buena Park, AltaMed, CHLA, and the Food Help Program of Downey, just to name a few. Betty proudly serves as a member of the Community Engagement Committee at the Adventist Health Glendale Foundation, as well as the Magnolia Park Merchants Association Board. She works closely with the USC Marshall Family Business School, serving as a guest lecturer for the Entrepreneurial Family Business course. In 2005, Betty was named Latin Businesswoman of the Year by the National Latin Businesswoman Association. That same year, Porto's Bakery was named the nation's Retail Bakery of the Year by the prestigious Modern Baking magazine and Business of the Year by the Glendale Kiwanis Club in 2007. In 2008, the Glendale Latino Association named Betty Woman of the Year. The Glendale Chamber of Commerce celebrated their 100th anniversary by naming Porto's Bakery Business of the Year for 2011. In 2015, Glendale Memorial Hospital also awarded Porto's Business of the Year. Porto's received the Distinguished Elizabeth Burns 2016 Lifetime Achievement Award given by the California Restaurant Association. Porto's was named the #1 spot of the top 100 places to eat in the U.S. in 2019 by Yelp. In 2020, the Porto family received the Robert Mondavi Wine and Food Award at Hospitality Uncorked. Most recently, Betty was honored with the 2022 5th District Women of the Year Award by the Los Angeles County Commission for Women. Thank you so much for being with us today, Betty.
So many accolades.
What a prestigious and honored background you have for such a well-known bakery, right? Porto's Bakery. I can't think of anybody who doesn't know about the delicious pastries that you produce there. Please, Betty, talk about the early years. In your bio, you mentioned working alongside your parents and your siblings at your mother's bakery. Please describe the beginning years.
Well, it's a typical immigrant story. Parents come looking for freedom, speech, to be able to give us a better life. So we started working, helping them when she started at the house in 1971. She came from Cuba. Within 2 months, she had a wedding cake commission. 2 months after she arrived, she had tweaked all her recipes. Butter was different, milk was different, all the ingredients were different. She did it out of the house. She worked out of the house from 71 to 76. So we did help her clean up. We also, she would use our beds. We came home from a movie, we couldn't go to bed because she had put sheets all over our beds and she spent all night long flipping cakes because she had no space to cool them off. So 1976, she runs out of space at the house. And she was just driving by, saw the beginning of the mini malls, one level mini malls. And the only reason she wanted to open there is because it was blocks away from the house. So it's not really about strategic planning. It's just the immigrant, she lives close to this place. It makes perfect sense to go there because she can go home, come back, and do her cooking at the bakery, but leaving us behind for a while when she did all that. So it was proximity that made her open there. Nothing more than that. There was no blueprint. There was no study. It was just, saying, okay, this is close. And most of our clients are living around here. So what she was very smart at was she made sure that from day one, by working out of the house for 4 years, she had enough money that she could, stay open for a while and she could pay the rent from day one. So from day one, we were able to pay the rent. And nowadays, that's the number one reason people go out of business. They can't pay the rent. We pay the rent from day one because she worked 5 years out of the house building a clientele that follow her to the Sunset and Silver Lake location. So my dad was working at bandy camps. He would come out of bandy camps after working 10 hours, 12 hours. There was no overtime in those days. And he would jump in and help us. We came after school, helped them. But at the end of the day, we were kids and the responsibility was on her. And later on my dad too. We were just helping, but we were not accountable for sales or products. As a matter of fact, we grew up having a lot of fun because she would go home for a second to get something. And then, of course, all our friends from high school would come in, eat for free. We did all kinds of crazy stuff. We had fights, burned stuff, threw it away. My mother never knew all this stuff. But the point is, even though we were working, we were still afforded a childhood and a high school experience and a lot of fun because my parents thought that education was the only way for us to go forward. They didn't want us to be working in a small little bakery. They wanted us to become doctors and lawyers. Every parent's immigrant dream is for their kids to do better. So that's what she started, out of the house, building a clientele, and then jumping to this 300 square foot location in the middle of Silver and Silver Lake. And the funny thing is that we were Cuban, she made Cuban pastries, and now we're in Sunset and Silver Lake, and it was mostly Mexican people living in the area. So pretty soon, when you would buy flour from Standard Flours, other people's, they send you technicians that will help you. And my brother learned how to make Mexican pastries. We made the best conchas in town. We always tell him, you got to bring them back because there's no better conchas than the ones that we were making. So made all kinds of Mexican cubiletes, banderillas, all kinds of stuff because that's what the neighborhood was asking for. So besides all the Cuban things, her potato bowls and her wedding cakes in quinceañeras, which is where she made the money, wedding cakes and quinceañeras, my brother started learning to be a baker and making Mexican pastries for the neighborhood. So, we learned because they taught us, we want this, we want that. So supply and demand. There was a demand for it and we jumped into it and we made really good Mexican pastries in Sunset and Silver Lake for a while there.
Well, I love that you responded to the taste of your neighborhood and you adjusted your recipes to serve that. Please talk about some of the key factors that contributed to the founding and early success of Porto's bakery.
Well, I think that again, my mother and father were. I always say, people, if you throw them in the desert, they will find water. Hardworking people. They made it in Cuba under communism when there was nothing for them to buy and people would bring ingredients. So under the worst conditions, being hiding because the secret police would come in. So you come to America, you can go to the supermarket, ingredients are at your fingertips. So we go from the worst to like the best place in the world. Everything is at your fingerprints, right? At your fingertips, you can get anything you want. So my mom was in heaven. She could get butter, she could get milk, whatever flour. So that to her was God-given. The fact that all the ingredients or close to you. So she was used to working under the worst conditions, right? She was also thrifty. People would make fun of her because if there was chicken on sale, she would buy 20 cents a pound back in the 70s. She would fill the freezer with chicken and just make different versions of it, right? It was never the same thing. Very innovative. She made all kinds of stuff for us. And so she would do, like, we couldn't afford to go eat McDonald's or places like that. We could go to Pop and Taco. We wanted to go. She learned how to make tacos at home. She learned how to make everything. So we would never miss out on anything that was happening. So it was going around us. Everything that the kids sloppy joes, she made sloppy joes without really spending money. So she was working and saving and saving and saving. And she comes from a family of business women in Cuba that were very thrifty too. So she would save every penny. We didn't go to dinner to anywhere. I mean, Kentucky Fried Chicken was an adventure. So that helped because she always was able to have money to back her up, right? There was never a day where we were wondering, oh my God, how are we going to pay the rent? She always had the money because she knew how to be thrifty, and she invested every penny that came into the bakery. Since my dad was working, every penny that she got was not invested in buying a new car. We had old cars. Was not investing on furnishing the place. Every penny went back to the bakery for her to get better machines, to get new molds, to get better mixers. Everything went back to the bakery, and 40, 50, almost 50 years later, it's the same thing. We do the same thing she was doing. We invest all our money back into the bakery. We save, and the bakery has a lot of money that we never see. It's just waiting to be invested when the need arises. So she was really good with the money. She knew how to stretch that money. She was very innovative, and her products, everything that she made it with love. Everything that she made was made like she was going to feed us. So it was never using cheap ingredients. It was always about the best. These ingredients that we could get, we got. You know, we had access to some things, not like we have now. Now we import from the whole world. But back in the days, always, she never cut down in ingredients to make more money. We learned that early on from her. So I think this thing, and she always trying to give the better prices. So working really hard, her prices were ridiculous because she knew who her clientele was. It was regular immigrants, regular people with a regular paying job. So blue collar workers around the bakery. So her stuff was geared toward them so they could afford it. So they come in and be able to pay for the goods instead of, raising the prices so that nobody could buy them and nobody could enjoy. So very mindful of people's budgets and what they could afford to buy. So all that we learned from her. And it's funny enough, is what really helped us to grow. All the stuff that she taught us early on. How to be thrifty, how to invest into your own company, how to never cheat customers by using lesser ingredients, by learning new items and not being afraid to jump and make Mexican pastries when they need. And we did that every time we moved somewhere else. There was a response to the demand that existed. When we went to Glendale, things changed completely. It was a different crowd. Then we went into donuts and eclairs. We never made donuts or eclairs in our lives, but we learned how to do them because Glendale was mostly white people at the time, in the early 80s. So always adjusting to the demand of what the people were asking for at the time. So being proactive in every way that you could.
So it sounds like you naturally evolved to offer a menu that was, relevant to the community that you were serving.
It's always been, if you think about it, we didn't make coffee. When did we start making coffee? When we moved to Glendale, redeveloped us to Glendale. All of a sudden, there's a building across from us with 7,000 employees, Blue Security Pacific Bank. And then there's a demand for coffee, so demand and supply. So there was a demand, and we jumped. We jumped on the coffee wagon, not like we do now, but just having regular coffee. They wanted lunch. We had never made lunch before. was mostly wedding cakes, quinceañera cakes, custom made birthday cakes, and pastries. And all of a sudden, there's a demand for lunch. Again, it wasn't 1980s. We were not planning this. We were just responding to a demand that was there. Oh my God, these people want to be fed. There's nobody else around making anything. And they just would cross the street and they would tell us, oh, can you make us a tuna sandwich? Okay. And so we go from making a couple of sandwiches to, making more sandwiches to supply those employees now. 7,000 living working across the bakery. So again, there was no master plan. There was no pastry chefs. There was nobody. It was just us winging it and just responding to what the needs were in that particular time, in that particular community.
It sounds like the community was very open about what they wanted to see from Porto's, which I can imagine as a baker, as a food provider, was magnificent.
We were there. They were on our face. We were there. They were there every day. So they were not short of opinions. And they would tell us what they wanted or what they didn't want. And that's still, to this day, I remember one time my brother, we made chocolate eclairs. And he wanted to use a better chocolate. And we went from a chocolate glaze to a real chocolate. Well, they were not ready for that. And they were like, we had to bring the other one stuff because they were so used to the chocolate glaze that they didn't want the better chocolate that we were using at the time. So sometimes you move forward and sometimes you pull back because they could tell us what they wanted. So, we were such small place that they could come in and they used to walk through the back to get to the bakery. They could see us making the cakes. They walked through flour, through oil, through everything. And it's funny because all these years, nobody ever fell down on the floor. And they would walk through the bakery as the production was taking place because the parking was on the back. And it was quicker. And we didn't know anything about lawsuits or any of that. So we just let them walk through. It was not something it wasn't our radar. It was innocent times, a different clientele, people who really loved our journey and were part of it. So it was a different society that it is now, completely different.
I love it. Betty, talk about how throughout the years, Porto has been able to maintain its authenticity and cultural heritage while adapting to consumer preferences. As you mentioned, you wanted to offer the real good, great quality chocolate, and they just weren't prepared. Please talk about how you've been able to maintain authenticity and cultural heritage.
Yeah, so we realized early on that people wanted things that were different. And so we were very much into making things that were Cuban because that was our roots. And our first customers were Cubans and then Mexicans and Salvadorians. And they loved the potato bowl. Who doesn't like meat and potatoes? Remember one time being in Glendale and we have all these British people working in construction. And they would say, oh, we come to you guys because that potato bowl reminds us of our shepherd pie back home. So potato balls and meat, even Japanese make potato balls. They call them croquettes. They make them flat, but they make them with vegetables. So everybody has some kind of potato and meat. So it was very familiar. Potatoes and meat are very familiar, but people loved them because they had it before. Oh, my grandmother was Jewish and she used to make something similar. These are the comments that we would get. So we started with the potato balls, and even though we were making eclairs and cream puffs, we still had the meat pies. So my mom's recipes were the meat pies, the chicken empanadas, the potato balls, the ham croquettes, the guava strudels, later on the guava cheese, much later the cheese rolls, the tamales. But believe it or not, now we have all kinds of fancy mousses and all kinds of stuff. Believe it or not, what people come for to the bakery is her signature recipes. And they walk in, you got 10 showcases, beautiful, full of beautiful mousses and stuff. So yeah, they're coming to get the potato bowl, but then they look to the other side and you have all these beautiful offerings. So slowly but surely we started to expand and to do things that were different. So we decided early on in Glendale, everybody's making donuts. Why are we making donuts? That's not something that a bakery really has to be known for. So then we go to France, we go to conventions, and we jump and we start making croissants. I was 19 years old when I went to Italy, and for the first time in my life, I'm 67, I had a chocolate croissant. It took 5 years for that croissant to make it to America, and we were doing it before then. Why? Because we thought, okay, we're a bakery. Why can't we offer things that are unique to a bakery, not a donut that now everybody is making in a small shopping center? Dropped the donuts, started making croissants, started making muffins because it became very popular. So we knew what was coming because we always educated ourselves. My brother still goes with his whole team to Europe, to all the conventions, whether it's Paris or Germany. You got to do that because, believe it or not, they're still the ones that are setting the trends. So we go there to learn what's coming with packaging, what is the new ways of making mousses with less gelatin, all this stuff. They're the trend centers, and if you don't go there, you don't learn. So we go there year after year, and we started learning. But we realized early on that if we wanted to be successful, we had to be unique, and we had to do things that nobody else was doing. So we were doing croissants. Nobody else was making croissants. When we started making French baguettes, nobody was making French baguettes. Other people started making them later on. But we said, oh, our customers are going to like not only the Cuban bread, but let's make some French baguettes. Always thinking what the people want. Now it's easier because, everything on Yelp and all the news, what's the trend. They want people want soups that are vegetable based. They want soups that are lighter. They don't want creams anymore. So we used to make cream of corn. Now we make as corn soup that's seasonal that doesn't have cream. So that is the trend now, right? And we learned that because now we have everything, our fingerprints. We know what it is that people want. Even in the coffee bar, we have a person in charge that goes outside and he's supposed to come up with drinks. Like right now, yuzu or matcha or all kinds of stuff that the kids want. He goes out there, he finds it, he comes and he implements in your drink. So it's easier now because everything, all the knowledge is being thrown at your face. It's too much knowledge. So you know what the kids want. Back in the days, it was just guts and smarts and wanting to grow. But now way easier because we know what the trends are. For example, when we came to this country in 1980, things were not spicy. The trend now every day is for more spicy food because of Thai food, because of Chinese food, because of Mexican food. We buy tons of tapatios because people get the potato balls and they put tapatios on it. In the old days, that wasn't like that. So that's changed also because there's all this spicy food that's coming and becoming now part of the food that people eat in America. So, you can't stay behind. You have to always be ahead. So, like, for example, the corn chowder, the topping has some spices in it. And even the corn chowder is a little spicy, a little bit, because we know that's what the kids want. That's what the trends are. We only keep the potato balls not spicy because the Cubans would go on strike if we did that, because they're not supposed to be. Cuban's food is not spicy. It's well seasoned with olive oil, tomatoes, basil, black pepper, capers, onions. That's the basic of a sofrito, which is what you use to make the ground beef for the chicken pies or the chicken empanadas. All that is based on that kind of cooking.
Absolutely. So in addition to staying ahead of the trends of the taste buds of your customers, we're going to talk about other innovative strategies you've worked on to enhance your marketing strategy. But first, we're going to go on a break. Everybody listening, Yvette Walker with ABC News, Southern California Business Report, here today with Beatriz Porto, a champion behind the beloved Porto's Bakery, a visionary leader in the world of baking and entrepreneurship. From humble beginnings in Cuba, she has built a renowned bakery empire in Southern California. Betty's journey is nothing short of inspiring, from her passion for creating delicious pastries to providing exceptional customer experiences. Her hard work has made Porto's Porto's Bakery, a household name, and she continues to share her insight into the bakery business and her vision for the future when we return.
Hi, I'm Dana Rademacher with MGR Property Management.
A lot of people wonder about the value that property management has for their property. Property management can include all property types, including residential, commercial, and HOA. It is valuable because property managers are experienced in what can happen at your property. We're aware of liabilities. We're able to do predictive and preventative maintenance. We know what is coming up with the changes in the weather, the seasons, how old certain aspects or different capital projects at your property are. We're able to best negotiate contract pricing, legalities with your tenants, and anything else that you may need to ensure that you're getting the full value of the property. If you're interested in speaking with the representative at MGR Property Management regarding your property management needs, you can visit our website at mgrrealestate.com, or you can call our number at area code 909-581-6600 to be connected with a representative.
Ontario International Airport is on to a better way to fly with over 65 daily non-stop flights to more than 20 major destinations and the easiest airport experience in Southern California. Visit flyonto.com/Ontario to learn more about Ontario International Airport today.
Hi, I'm San Bernardino County Sheriff Shannon Dykes. If you're looking to start an exciting career in law enforcement and make a difference in your community, we are hiring dispatchers, nurses, deputies, laterals, and many more. For a complete list of our jobs and more information, visit sheriffsjobs.com.
We are the Empire Strikers, the professional sports team of the Inland Empire. We are a fast-actioned and community-inspired pro indoor soccer team. Our mission is to inspire the Empire. Home games, community events, watch parties, and youth camps are all back. Professional indoor soccer is back. Join us and come watch the greatest show on turf at Toyota Arena or on Twitch. Visit www.theempirestrikers.com for more and any information.
The University of La Verne is rated first in California for alumni satisfaction. Learn more about accelerated programs offered online and on campus in La Verne, Irvine, Ontario, Burbank, or College of the Canyons. Visit go.laverne.edu. The University of La Verne. go.laverne.edu.
Cal State San Bernardino is home to the only School of Entrepreneurship in California. With globally ranked degree programs, you can start your journey today to become a successful entrepreneur. Learn more and connect at entre.csusb.edu.
Welcome back, everyone. Yvette Walker with ABC News and Talk Southern California Business Report here today with Betty Porto, a champion behind the beloved Porto's Bakery, a visionary leader in the world of bakery and entrepreneurship. From humble beginnings in Cuba, she has built a renowned bakery empire in Southern California. Betty's journey is nothing short of inspiring, from her passion for creating delicious pastries to providing exceptional customer experiences. Her hard work has made Porto's Bakery a household name, and she continues to share her insight into the bakery business and her vision for the future. Thank you again for being with us today, Betty.
Thank you.
So prior to the break, you were telling us a little bit about your marketing strategies of being ahead of the taste buds of your consumers. Yes. Please talk about what other innovative marketing strategies Porto's has implemented to build its brand and attract new customers.
So, again, at the beginning, we had no marketing. We had it was what they call word of mouth. They say that if you people walk with a good experience, they'll then tell other people. Now we have grown. We have a village of people supporting us as we grow. I mean, now there's a whole beautiful marketing team that I'm always, should I do this? Should I not do that? Because they're the young, they're the innovators, and they're in place. I'm old-fashioned. Never went to school for that. So I depend on them to guide me into what needs to be done. So basically, They'll tell me, go here, go there, and I just show up, and they know that I'm going to do a good job. But I want to emphasize that when you were talking about me as a trailblazer, this is a family business. So it's not me. It's my brother, it's my sister, my mother, and my father. And now all the thousands of employees that we have, that without them, there was no way that we could have grown. Talented people that have the same passion that we do. We've been lucky enough to engage them and to retain them. But you can't grow if you don't employ talent and if you don't transmit the passion that you have for what you do to all these managers and to all these leads and to your marketing team. That's our number one goal, to inspire them, right? So they can do an awesome job of whatever they do. And they do. You can't grow without all these people. You depend on them 100%. We couldn't open the doors every day if all these bakers don't show up. And that's hard work. So I just want to say that that's so important, that you can't do it on your own. You never can. So you always have to engage your employees, not only your customers, but you have to engage your employees to have the same vision and the same passion for all you do on an everyday basis.
So you talked about the team. Please talk about the team that, as you said, started off with your mother, your father helping, and the kids. And what has it grown to today? What does the team at Porto's Bakery and Cafe look like?
Every bakery has 1,000. Every bakery has like 3,000 employees. So we have 6 right now. So do the math. And then we have a whole marketing team with maybe 15 people. We also have a team that does all the accounting, right? We have an HR team to take care of all the employees. So we have grown, and with that, all these departments, there's no way that we could, achieve what we do on an everyday basis. So again, it's about hiring the right people and making sure that they have the same passion that we do for the customers and for our product. We want to make sure, our kids eat all the pastries on an everyday basis. They come in, right, to the lunchroom, and every day they have pastries that are given to them for free, plus coffee, plus soda. So they get to try every item. And do you think they get tired of them? Every morning they go there because they love this and they love that. It's a way of teaching them, of educating their palate. So in turn, that they can then turn around and talk to the customer from a point of knowledge. So that was done on purpose. Every day they have pastries to taste. Every day throughout the day, they're getting pastries so they can taste the stuff. Marketing. We've done so many. We did one time in marketing where we worked with milk, the company, one of the big milk companies, and that was the marketing team. And all I did was show up and do what I was supposed to do. But we made the biggest rosca de reyes that had been made. So you imagine, all I did was show up and talk. But you know how many people were involved in building this massive rosca de reyes that we did in Downey, and it covered the whole front and sides of the bakery. How many people took to build it, to bake it, to carry it, to put it together. And then the marketing team that was on board helping us every step of the way. And then I showed up and I did my part. So they do things like that. We do partnerships with different organizations. We've had competitions. One time, one of our French chefs won a croissant competition. So we join competitions like that because it's not only good for the brand, it's fun for them. They get to be outside the bakery and to do something that's different on that day, and they get to show off, right? That they can do something and they can win. So they're always coming out with things like that to keep people engaged. Or museums, they want a bread demonstration. We take pastry chefs, give samples, and do a whole thing about how to make bread. We also work with culinary schools. So we go to culinary schools because we want to bring employees, but we take chefs and they do things. They work with the culinary skills by doing stuff so they can get passionate about the food, giving them little tips here and there, or bringing them to the bakery. We do tours. I used to do tours all the time, little elementary school kids, but now it's become much harder with my time. So we try to now do more like high school kids have programs, culinaries, and that's a marketing tool to bring them in, show them, and maybe hire them to get employees to come in. We do that.
It's
all the
workforce
time.
development, right? Workforce
Yeah.
development pipelines
we're
is what
doing that all
you're
the time.
developing.
And that was part of ideas that the marketing team came up with. They've done competitions in business schools. We did one in CHLA, where there was a competition about when we developed Bake at Home. They were supposed to give us ideas about, these are business major kids. There were teams giving us ideas to the marketing team on how they would push, how they would use this to reach the whole United States. And there was a competition, and the team that won got a check from the bakery. So they're always coming up. I mean, we can be sitting here and talking about all the stuff that they're always doing to do things out of the box, but at the same time, the employees love it because it changes everything they do. Or we do fundraising, like I'm doing AltaMed, for AltaMed is doing an East LA Miss Napa that we do every year. We get to be out there, talk to customers, and we do other nonprofits that we set up camp, and then we do all these pastries. We do tons of those stuff. So that's all part of marketing, because your customers want to see you there doing this kind of stuff. They love it when you're generous and that you're giving back to the community. That's one of the things that brings you more personal satisfaction, but also brings a lot of people in, because you're giving back and you build relationship in your community. Because we usually give back to the fire department, the police department, the pals groups, the boys and girls. So all the things that are duplicated, the chambers, everything that's duplicated in every city, we touch upon. That's what I do. We, grassroots more than the big marketing. I do more of it. And so you build relationships in the community, but just joining all these organizations, being there, sampling, giving pastries to them at the end of the day because they're having a meeting. Whatever you can do to give back will come back to you in fulls. And so I'm jumping all over the place, so I don't want.
I love it, but it is part of your innovative marketing strategy, right?
Yes,
is to go in. It's multifaceted. You're building workforce development pipelines. You're going to schools. You're making it fun. You're engaging your employees, and you're giving back to the community. So those are wonderful marketing techniques that you can feel extremely proud of.
I always say yes to any TV station. I've done things that are being national. Hauser came to the bakery one time in 2005. We only had the Glendale store. And I cannot tell you what a pull that man had with the show. California's Best, Hauser. We have people coming from Orange County that have never been to the Glendale bakery in truckfuls, senior citizens that would come back, and it was a field trip for them. And I would lead those field trips, and they would buy lunch. Back in the days, we did all kinds of stuff to bring people in, because we thought it was really cool for these people to see who was making their food, how it was being made. And the older people loved it. They thought it was incredible to see people making cakes. So that was part of that. So without really knowing it, we were already doing marketing in 2005 without really having a whole marketing department.
Mm.
It
sounds like it all just worked out, right?
It all worked out.
Betty, talk about, you're in the restaurant business. There have been a lot of public policies that have been impacting the food industry. Talk about how Porto's has been able to adapt to the changing public policies over the years, right? Because you've been in business for many years.
Yes. So, that's where my brother is the key. He comes into that. He's the CEO of the company. And my sister and I stay behind in the bakeries, and we each develop into our own roles. Automatically, it wasn't forced upon us. I do this because I love to do this, and he was always been the business side. So he learned early on that you can never wait for things to come to you. So we're always ahead of the game. So, like I was telling you, for example, when Obama, remember he made mandatory for people who have health insurance. We had health insurance 2 years before Obama made it mandatory. Because my brother knew that for retention, it was key that we took care of our employees, that we have a way of keeping them healthy, not only to keep them healthy, but also to keep our customers healthy, right? So they wouldn't come to work sick because they didn't have medical insurance. So it's all a win-win. So he did it ahead of time. We did, the minimum that just came up, we've been working on that for 3 years because he knew it was coming. So he stays ahead, always staying ahead of the game, always learning what's coming down the pipe, what's going to go high, what ingredients are going to go higher, what's going to drop. COVID came and we had never had a challenge ever like COVID because we couldn't plan for it, right? It was unexpected.
Right.
But we learned before COVID, we didn't think we were so busy in our kitchens that we didn't think we could do all the different people that are coming to pick up food. We didn't do any of that. We thought we can't do it. The kitchens are being overwhelmed. Well, COVID comes along, we close the bakery and we turn into only takeout. And all this food delivery service start coming and we start doing them. And then we realize, oh my God, there's so much money there to be made, right? Which we would have never known about if COVID did not come around. Right. So we learned that during COVID. So we now are doing it all the time. Sometimes when we get super busy, we close it. But we're already looking for maybe test kitchens that are close to the bakery so we can direct all these people, instead of to come to the bakery, to go to these test kitchens where they can pick up all the deliveries without really impacting the kitchens on the bakeries. If there was no money to be made, we would never be doing that. And we just learned that through COVID. So you have to be open to learning things. You can't, my brother always says the moment you stop learning is when you should go away and retire and let somebody else take over because you're done the moment you stop learning. So you have to know about public policy. You need to be involved with the chambers. Like right now, there's all kinds of plastic ordinance coming around, which is going to be different in every city. We need to know what's going to be acceptable and what is not. And if you're not, a lot of small businesses don't have the opportunity to go to any of these chambers or any of these public hearings. So it's kind of sad because then it comes to them and they don't know. We know that we need to be informed. And I'm always tapping on the chambers to let me know. I can't go to every meeting, but it's just something important coming up that I should know about. And so we can be present, because if you're not present, the laws get passed without you even know what's coming down the pipe.
Absolutely.
So it's very important that you got to keep yourself informed. And a lot of mom and pops don't have the luxury of doing that. And that's the sad part, that nobody's advocating for them. And that's why you see so many restaurants closing left and right, especially after COVID. The distribution. I mean, our bakery in Northridge was delayed 6 months because we were not allowed to pick up the stuff that was sitting on the boats because they didn't let the older trucks, right, pick up any of the stuff. You had to be 2010 or old or newer. Meanwhile, the baker's not being open because all the stuff is sitting on there. And even after COVID, now we buy 6 months to a year ahead on stuff. Because if you don't buy and you don't have all that ahead, you're going to have to get rid of an item because you can't get the containers. So it's very important that that's another department, right, that buys and stays on top of that. And they need to bring containers all the time. I mean, you don't know how many things we buy on a daily basis. Every item, every lid, everything that goes into every little dessert that requires a special container to go in. And it has to be to code, and we're supposed to not only purchase it, but have it at all times, not just for a couple of days.
Yes, so and you have a demonstration right behind you, and I know within those boxes you have some of your pastries. Can you please show us some of those goodies? A friend of mine mentioned the guava cheese ones.
Yeah, these are the potato balls. I don't know if you can see them.
Lift it up a little. Okay, yes, there we go. That? Oh my goodness.
Spanish potato with beef. This we sell maybe 2 million a month of the potato balls.
Wow.
2 million. So that's when machines come in. Again, you can't grow by not having machinery to do the hard work.
Right.
And it's something that this is our number one seller, the cheese rolls. It's a very simple puff pastry with sweet cream cheese. We sell like close to 3 million a month
Wow.
of those. And something that's very Cuban, and it's probably the third item, is the guava cheese strudels. So it looks like an apple strudel. It's a puff pastry, but inside it has guava and cheese. And the reason we came up with that a long time ago, and at the beginning, we called them refugees. Because when Cubans came from Cuba, we were political refugees. So we invented this pastry because there's nothing more Cuban than guava and cheese. Everybody in Cuba eats guava and cheese. The guavas grow wild. You don't have to plant them. And everybody makes guava shakes, guava marmalade. So we thought, okay, let's do something that's super Cuban. And it took off. And now we call them guava and cheese strudels. But there's nothing more Cuban than guava. Again, it just grows wild in the island. And anybody can pick them, boil them, make a simple syrup, and reduce them, and have a dessert that doesn't cost you anything. Instead of going to a fancy bakery and buying pastries, which have always been expensive in all the Latin countries. But always doing. So again, we always come up with new items, right?
Absolutely.
Like
and so we're coming up on the end of the hour, Betty, but please tell us what the next 5 years looks like at Porto's.
Well, the next 5 years look like we're going to still be growing. I mean, we were invited by Disneyland to open downtown Disney. So that's going to be a bakery, but also dining, full dining experience with a bar. So that's going to be different for us. First time that we're going to have like a restaurant, full restaurant with waiters and all that. So that's new. But we're also talking to a bunch of different cities that want Porto's on their city, because now they come to us. They want us there. Why? Because we bring two things: employment, local employment, and state taxes. So we're popular, and they want us there. So every city has a nice lot, and they want to make something that produces something. They're coming to us for us to open. So I see a lot of growth. The third generation is on board already. We have 5 people. And without that new generation coming in, we're not going to be able to grow, because my brother and sister, we're getting older. At some point, we need to be able to take some time off. So we have 5 people. We're hoping that all of them, all 7 grandchildren, at some point are involved, because they all have different talents. They can bring something new to the table. But I can tell you this much: they all have the same passion for food that we do, because my mom made it key for them to know about food, to eat good food, to taste good food, and to love food. And so they have that on their bones, and that's not going to be an issue. It's just taking in a new role so we can, help them with what we know, but at the same time, they'll bring new things to the table that we couldn't have, because they know more than we do at this time. So we're hoping for all of them to keep going. We would never want to close the bakery. We want this legacy to continue. We want to be part of Southern California and grow to maybe at some point to Northern California, but we want the growth to continue. We want people to be able to taste real good pastries at affordable prices.
I love it. And like you said, it's in the DNA.
Yep.
Betty, thank
For
you
us, it is.
so much for sharing your expertise, for sharing your journey, and doing
you.
so with so much passion. It's exciting to see what's ahead for Porto's. We're in the Inland Empire region, Riverside,
Yes.
San Bernardino counties, and I understand you're going to be joining us very shortly.
Yes.
So we're all anticipating, and can't wait to visit you there soon.
Yes, and just remember, food is love.
Yes, it is. That's always a
Most
secret
important
ingredient, right?
The most important ingredient to what we do.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing your heart and your time today with us, Betty.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, everybody listening today, don't forget to find us on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Check us out on scbrtalk.com. Don't forget, City of Ontario presents Summer Concert Series through July 31st. Free concerts every Wednesday starting at 7 p.m. at 224 North Euclid Avenue in downtown Ontario. Get together with friends, shop the vendors, and have fun. Hope Through Housing Foundation's Women of Hope presents Beauty Bubbles and Bites Havana Nights theme Thursday, July 18th, 6 to 9 p.m. at Padua Hills Theater in Claremont. Questions, please contact Daisy Macias at 909-509-2094. Don't miss my interview with Hilda Kennedy, founder and president of AMPAC Business Capital, the DBA of AMPAC Tri-State CDC. Kennedy started her career in economic development, working as the director of economic development for the city of Inglewood. While in Inglewood, Kennedy led the city in establishing a $45 million Section 108 loan fund to serve the businesses within the city and implemented business attraction strategies to change the landscape of Century Boulevard retail corridor. During her 12 years with the city of Inglewood, Ms. Kennedy recognized the difficulty small business owners, particularly minority and women entrepreneurs, encountered in accessing capital for their businesses to grow. Next week, we will have Joseph Rubio, liturgical director at St. Philip Benizi Catholic Church. Joe's journey of service began in the late 70s, working at summer camps for underprivileged children and continuing this passion into the 90s. He has also shared his knowledge by teaching catechism to various age groups from second grade to adults. Joe has been an enthusiastic volunteer for numerous causes. In his current role as liturgical director, Joe is presented with various opportunities to support and connect with people in his parish, providing a compassionate ear and working closely with the lay staff to coordinate liturgical events and other parish activities. Notably, he has overseen the visitation of the St. Jude relic, further enriching the spiritual life of the community. You do not want to miss it. We will see you all next week.